Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Please continue to pray for me by singing along with me, gesturing at your screen, and leaving a dislike on this video. Let's sing a few more times. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, I've been sick for a couple of days now because I'm stressed out. I misplaced my passport, and I know why I misplaced or at least the sequence of events that led to me misplacing my passport. I've been having a lot of turbulence with my return to the dating scene. You got to understand, even though the other day, I met a girl here in Taiwan, even though the other day we were talking about our futures together, you got to understand, I didn't teleport from there to there. In between that, there was a lot of ghosting, a lot of game playing, a lot of uncertainty. And so I think anybody who has ever gotten into a relationship could probably appreciate, unless you're lucky, right? And let me give you an example. I was in Phoenix 3 months ago. I was dating a distant cousin of Eve Curry, and she told me she had some anxiety. Often shows up to dates an hour, 2 hours late. Has worried about something or something needs to be done. Who knows? I don't really dig too far into it. The point is that she's often an hour late. One day, I had been sitting. We were going to go see a movie. She was late. She told me she had this and that to do, and I ended up sitting in the lobby of the movie theater, and I Googled information about the real Eve Curry because I think of her as a reincarnation. I was curious if Eve Curry had similar anxiety when she first met her husband. And finally she shows up. And it just created all. And when you start out a date like that, you've already gone into the date with like so much gas in your stomach, and it just doesn't go right often. And unfortunately, this is how I've been living for 7 months. I suffered a bad performance review at work, in large part because of this. What had happened was, at the community college where I teach, our dean comes in to observe a class once a semester, and she asked me what would be a good day for the observation. And I actually said, well, why don't we get it done as early as possible so I can use some of the suggestions? And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I want to get it done with, right? So I can go on to better things. So I scheduled it a week before she initially said it. And then I forgot about the day of the review. Um, and so I was unprepared. I wasn't dressed right and all that. I was my mind was occupied with other shit, and got a mediocre performance review. My boss mentioned how a lot of the students are really chatty in the classroom, and I don't stop them and all that, and I was unprepared. Oh well, and my binge eating returned with a vengeance earlier this year, and I've since fixed that issue. But for a couple weeks, I was eating out of control. It seemed like I got into multiple near miss car accidents, and and then the other day, I need to look for my passport. I swear I left it in the other hotel. I'm gonna go back there and really look again because I called them multiple times. What had happened was that, every time I lose something, whether it be a passport or my computer, or even lose something digitally, right? Lose a file that I forgot where I saved on my computer. Every time I do that, it seems like it's only a lapse of attention that I had, right? It's not like the whole day I was being uh careless or reckless. No, it's a momentary lapse that leads to it, right? Or not even just the losing stuff, right? When I mess up at work, right? Like the day I forgot about the performance review, when I mess up a relationship, it's very seldom weeks and days of recklessness or even hours of recklessness. It's usually a momentary lapse, right? Leave a comment if you can relate to that. Very seldom do I lose a passport because I behaved recklessly the whole day. Leave a comment if you agree with that, right? What had happened was I got really excited. The girl had talked about our futures together, and she has wacky work schedule. She works unpredictable hours, and so she had texted me, "Do you want to? Why don't we go see a movie today?" And I just got excited, and I lost track of everything, right? And it's moments like that, little moments, gaps of attention. Usually when I lose my passport, I know where it was 23 hours and 59 minutes out of that day. It's that 1 minute gap of attention that causes all the drama, right? 99% of the stresses in my life are caused by 1% of the moments. Easily, I can say that. But anyway, I pray that this really is the one because when I finally propose to her and she accepts, I really want to take it easy, and because this chapter in my life has not been pleasant. Please show your support by disliking. Oh yeah, the other reason I lost the passport. You got to remember when the girl said, "Why don't we see a movie today?" You got to remember. I eat a lot of celery because apparently it has a chemical that makes guys smell attractive. And so she wanted to see me in 2 hours. I had to race off to go get the celery, wolf it all down. You guys saw me on the camera. And why do I do the celery? Well, I do it because I worry if I don't eat the celery and then things don't go right, I always regret it. I eat it to head off the regret. Head off the regret. And it's the same reason why I pray the Peter Dislike Show and all the other routines that go on with dating. It's a lot better if I sing Peter Dislike and it didn't work than the other way. If I didn't sing it and I regret what if I had sung it. It's the same reason why I own precious and strategic metals. Right? I'd rather own them and I didn't need them than not have them. Oh my God, I should have bought them 10 years ago, right? And so uh, I do it to head off the regret, right? It's kind of like why some people go to church every Sunday, not because scientifically it's been proven to do it. It's just they want to head off the regret, right? Um, but it's called Google this Pascal's wager. That's the wager I'm making, right? It takes 30 seconds to sing Peter Dislike. Celery doesn't have any bad side, at least not in the amounts that I'm eating. It doesn't have any bad side effects, right? And so the risk is here, but the potential, even if the probability of reward is low, the potential for the amount of reward that could be potentially gained is high, right? Um, but anyway, that's what's been stressing me for the last 6 months. It's jeopardizing my work, making me stressed out, making me misplace stuff, and so I don't know what to do. Part of me almost wants to just jump the gun and propose to the girl because otherwise, everything is just so much more challenging. Now, you got to remember why I returned to the dating scene. Last July, 12 months ago now, I was sick, the weather was hot, and the political climate was very hostile, right? Um, I I had COVID-19 during the heat wave, and while trying to take care of myself, I quickly realized how hostile everybody was in the community, at the workplace, and I had to call my boss to call out, and I was sick, and even just dialing the numbers on my phone, it was tricky enough. That's how disoriented I was. I don't remember how I drove to that grocery store. I got to thank that got a dislikes, that I safely drove there and back, right? That could have turned badly, but also I was part of the reason why I hung out in the store was that I was flat broke. I couldn't even afford to run the car idly in the parking lot to get air conditioning. Ah, and then the store security harassed me for loitering in the store. And so that's when I decided that I needed to have a spouse so that at least she could help me call the my boss, go pick up the food and water, and all the other fun stuff, right? And yeah, I'm not joking when I say I was so flat broke that I didn't even want to run the car idly in the parking lot so I could eat. I'm not joking when I say that. It's 115 degrees. I mean, you could probably idle your car in the parking lot, but uh, engage with chat, Peter. I'm kind of focusing on my. I'm very sick at the moment, stressed out. But that was the main reason why I wanted to return to the dating scene. Part of me wants to just jump the gun and propose to the girl today because I feel like every moment, every day that I stay singles, more and more of me falls apart until I'm broken beyond repair. Right? It's kind of like you have remember a few months ago before I replaced my car. Right? Uh, it was falling apart, and so every day that I delayed replacing the car, I ran the risk that it would fall apart at a very inopportune time, right? Not only an inopportune time, but bad situation, right? Imagine um, uh, in the middle of a big project at work, or I'm driving through a difficult place in the town. Uh, do you think she stole your password? Actually, not. I haven't. I actually have another suspect in mind. That night after I got home from seeing the girl at the movies, I know I had the passport when I got to the other hotel because I actually checked in there with the passport. I had a roommate who was really upset at me. He woke me up at 1 in the morning, slapping my leg, saying how loud things were. I guess I had snored or something. He was really upset. I really despise the way people handle noise complaints. Let me give you some my thoughts on that. There's a big difference between, if somebody turns on Taylor Swift's latest song at 2 in the morning as loud as possible, there's a big difference between that and, oh my God, I know my roommate's having a good time. He's dreaming about something fun, snoring, or I know something's happening next door, but it's not disturbing my sleep. So some people will complain bitterly about the latter, almost like it's the former. I think there's a big difference between the two. Leave a comment on the chat if you agree with my view on that. Um, Let me guess, he was American. No, he was actually Japanese because I couldn't understand what he was saying, except that I could infer from his gesture that the noise was too loud. But he was slapping my leg and saying something which I take it to mean be quiet because the way he was gesturing. And then he started to let it go. He actually, after he woke me up, I I was probably louder after he woke me up because now I was tossing and turning. But after a few moments, he actually let it go and he went back to it. I don't know if he stole the passport to sabotage these. He doesn't look like somebody who's going to steal a passport to commit identity fraud, but he does look like somebody who might steal it as a prank. Ha, good luck trying to get home to the United States now. That kind of theft, right? And I don't know. Now looking back at it, I should have paid more attention to my belongings. I was just exhausted. Dating always drains me because of how much anxiety I have. And leave a comment if you would consider that Japanese guy could have been a suspect. Um, uh, Praying for what physical characteristics is a password thief possess? Well, I mean, just the fact that because I had my computer on the desk. I was listening to I had headphones, so it wasn't that noise. Listening to a pod. He didn't steal the computer. He didn't steal anything else. He didn't steal some other things that I had. Just the passport went missing. Uh, Sounds like it was a prank, right? If you're gonna steal a passport but not somebody's cell phone or computer, it sounds like you're gonna steal it as a prank, right? Ha ha, good luck getting home to the United States, right? But oh, buddy, how much bismuth do you have? No. Uh Still the 3 tons. Uh Minus the little bit that I gave away for rewards for people setting me up on blind dates and the gifts that I've been giving to the girl in Houston and the girl here in Taiwan. It's outrageous. What's outrageous? The theft of the the girl doesn't want you. No, I had the passport when I got to the hotel. I checked in, unless she snuck into the hotel. Uh, okay. Can you tell? It's the passport for the green card. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I should propose to her because, like I said, every day that I stay single and have to battle this dating drama, it feels like life irrevocably destructs a little bit. Right, my job is at a little bit more jeopardy. My health is at a little bit more jeopardy. Um, I should always propose immediately. Seal the deal. The problem is that I'm a little bit torn. We got the girl here in Taiwan. We got Eve Curry, and even the girl that my friend at church set me up on the blind date. So she's more like a life partner. She's not. We're not romantically involved, but she's more like a life partner. You guys have seen her. She one of the only girls to ever appear on my video. We prayed Peter Dislike a few times together on here, and then there's the other relationship that I could potentially get back in. Unfortunately, society often doesn't approve, right? I heard someone stole your password here. I don't know. I want to blame the guy, for the Japanese guy, because of how upset he was the other day. Every time I stay in a hostel, and there might be here, let me show you. This is the hostel room. It's 11 a.m. right now. Nobody's here. There's 8 beds in this room. And usually not everybody's sensitive to noise, but you always get one person who's either incredibly sensitive or incredibly entitled. They hear somebody having a good time. Somebody's, programming away on their computer. Oh my God, this guy's programming the next cryptocurrency. They're going to make $10 million. I got to make their life hell, right? You often get somebody like that in a group of 8 people. One person usually. Most people have the good sense that live and let live, right? This guy might be making 10 million, but I'm getting good sleep here, right? Most people behave like that. Every once in a while you get one person who goes, "Oh my god, that person must be making $10 million," or they just met somebody on Tinder, I got to sabotage, right? Every so often you get one person who feels that way, right? Um it had to be him who stole it. Well, I just hope when he gets to the airport, he mistakenly pulls out my passport instead of his, and he'll have some big explaining to do, right? And hopefully they'll figure out where I was staying, and because I did fill out an arrival card, right? What hotel I'm staying in, and they'll bring it back to the hotel room. Hopefully, I don't know if that's how it works. What would happen if you went up to customs and you accidentally pulled out a passport you stole instead of your own, and it doesn't even look like you, right? I don't know. Um, that would be a oops for, for him, right? Uh, Although he probably doesn't have a U.S. passport, so Maybe he would have to be really drunk to do that, right? Which is not out of character for somebody of his behavior anyway. So let's just pray that that's how it turns out, right? But like I said, every so often you just get somebody who's really sensitive to noise. I had a roommate like that back home as well. I was living in a house in Tempe, and I had three roommates, and it's really tragic because there was this girl there that I wanted to make a move on, and I kept putting it off because I was dealing with all of this drama. What had happened was the owner of that home had hired a relative to manage the place. I think it might have been a nephew to manage the place. And that manager, he decided to live in a living room that was adjacent to the kitchen with only a curtain. And he would get up, I would get home at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I would be eating or maybe using the bathroom or whatever, and he would be upset at the noise. I never turned on any music or anything crazy like that. And I made sure to not wear anything that would, shoes that might make a loud noise or anything. There was nothing like that. It's just normal living noises. And he would be upset. And at the time, I didn't have a whole lot of stability. If it were today and I could go somewhere else in a heartbeat, I would, you know, I'd feel bad for him, but at the same time, I got to live too, right? But at the time, I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of connections, and like I said, I was so flat broke that I couldn't even idle the car in the parking lot. But that's how I lived for quite a few years, actually, because I really wanted to bankroll my art career. Starving artist, right? And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, you took this job knowing that people come and go. And it's no secret that a lot of Americans have to juggle two jobs, and everybody has to eat, right? Not everybody can afford to go out to eat, especially at 11 o'clock after they finished up their second job, right? And so he has the audacity to complain about that. And one day he was upset that after he had finished complaining, several of my roommates had woken up from his complaining. He blamed me for waking up everybody when it was really his complaining that was really his complaining was often way louder than what I was doing, right? The eating, using the toilet, or any other activity I was doing. His complaining was much louder than that, right? Or opening the back door because we had a place in the back porch to do the metal work, right? Opening and closing the door gently, cooking, flushing the toilet, and then he would complain and wake everybody up, and then he would blame me for waking everybody up, right? Um, and so at the time, I think he capitalized on the fact that I didn't have a whole lot of stability in my life. Now things really uh, came to a head one day when we had new prospective tenants who had swung by, and I didn't realize Mark, the man, Mark was in the home behind the curtain. Uh, I didn't realize he was home, and I was walking the new prospective tenants around the home, and so I told them just be mindful. Sometimes Mark can be a little bit sensitive to noise. Mark bursts out of his room just as I say that and accuses me of all the noise that I caused the night before and the night before that. You did this, you did that. Long story short, we lost those two prospective tenants because of his behavior. And the owner got wind of that. The other roommates that were already living there heard all this commotion, and the owner got wind of that, and he Donald Trumped Mark from his job. Unfortunately, he couldn't evict him right away, because after Mark had lived there for and worked there for however many number of months, they needed to give him 30 days notice. So now we had not only Mark complaining about the noise, but now we had a disgruntled employee living there. And long story short, I moved out within a few days. I didn't need that kind of drama in the place, and I never made the move on the girl that I wanted to. And it's that's how my life story often plays out. Leave a comment if you would have handled this differently. How do you handle somebody who frivolous makes frivolous complaints about, do you still talk to her? No, I didn't hit it off with her. I could have, because one night she actually spent 15 minutes talking to me about some advice for, at the time I was juggling. Uh, you got to understand, when you teach at a community college, uh, there's a lot of, I'm only an adjunct, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And I was very upset that one of my jobs asked me to sign this contract, but they at the bottom of the contract it says that there's no guarantee that I'm going to get this job. And I was upset because I signed it, but now I wasn't sure if I could take on other work. And so I was asking her advice on this, because if I take other work and then I come back to GCC and say, I can't do this anymore, that